Good morning, Saturday morning, top of the day to you. For whenever you do see this video, I hope that no one's on yet, so I hope that my headset's working correctly. Either way, you'll be able to hear me through the computer speaker. Um, yes, so I got this download recently, and it was so profound, and it came from Jesus himself about how hard we make our lives and how we're constantly looking for that new material, that new information, that new way to create what we want to experience. And truly what it comes down to is we all want happiness, we all want joy, we all want prosperity, we all want vitality, we all want these amazing things in our life, right? And so we're constantly infiltrating our minds with new information, which is great. But sometimes we overcomplicate things and in our search for meaning, right? And so this came to me a few weeks ago now, and I have to share it with you. I've shared it with a few people on private calls, but not publicly. And truly, I think I can write a book about this. It's when I was communing with Jesus recently, and I was actually, when the download occurred, I was in a consulting session, a healing session, and it was a revelation. So it was like this, oh my gosh, this is so incredible. I have to share this with the world because this is so simple and it encompasses everything in our life. So, and it's a Jesus teaching. So Jesus, when he lived his passion, which is when he was teaching, every time he taught, there were two main parallel themes, including even after he ascended. I mean, he was crucified. On the third day, he rose again. Then he was with the apostles for a period of time, which we call Pentecost, right? Then upon his ascension, he gave more commands. And even when he presented himself to John, St. John, in the cave, when he was writing the book of Revelation, which are 7 letters to the 7 churches. And you have to understand, John was an artist, and people are afraid of Revelation, but it's actually a love story. We'll talk about that another time. These were the 2 parallel themes that he discussed. Every single time that he taught these 2 things. And so to me, he never said, I wish this for you. I hope this for you. I'm going to, pray for it for you. He said, no. He said, this one commandment I leave you, which is to love one another. That is what he said upon his ascension. That is what his entire passion was like. No greater love than a man who lays his life down for someone else. He did that. Everything he taught about was about love, God's love for us, the way we treat one another. So that's the commandment number 1. The next one's going to surprise you a little bit because no one's ever said this before that I'm aware of, but I'm going to say it. If you're watching this live, I see I've got some people on here. Give me a like or a heart, or tell me who you are. Write in the comments. Let me know you're here. The other commandment is do not be afraid. Be not afraid. Fear not. He said it a few different ways, but every time he spoke and he taught, that was the way he let it off. Even in the book of Revelations, when he had John writing down, scribing basically what Jesus was telling him, every letter was, be not afraid. And it wasn't a request. Just like love one another was not a request. Hi, Kathy. Was not a request. It wasn't him saying, I really wish that you'll love one another. I really hope that you won't be afraid. No, he said, be not afraid and love one another. So that came that's a directive because Jesus spoke God through him. So those 2 things, if we focus our life with those 2 intentions in everything we do, to be loving and to not be fearful, which means to be in faith and to be in love, because they can't exist in the same place at the same time, then you know the secret to life. So you can apply that to conversations, to your job, to the way you treat yourself, to relationships. I think I just said that. think about the ways that you can be more loving, right? Even starting with you, starting with your life, and also how you can be fearless, starting with you and in your life. And that's what I want to leave you with today. Those 2 commandments, which I think is which I know came straight from Jesus to teach, and which is so incredibly powerful. I'm going to break that down into probably an hour-long workshop, 30 minutes on love one another and what that looks like, starting with you, and about the be not afraid. So because fear really does stop us in our tracks, and that is the thing that kicks love and faith and all of the good stuff out. And that is the difference between Christ consciousness mind, which is to love one another, including yourself, and fear-based mind, which is the ego mind. So it's continuing with the mind of the miraculous. It's continuing with understanding how you have the Christ consciousness mind. So when you're in fear, you know that you're not in love. And that's when you do the work to bring yourself back to love. I love you all. Whenever you see this, think about that for this weekend and have a really glorious weekend. Till next time, take care.